Now, your Rexall Family Druggist brings you a transcribed half hour with Richard Diamond, Private Detective, starring Dick Powell.
Diamond Detective Agency. Handy hints on happy homicide.
I beg your pardon?
I said Diamond Detective Agency. Handy hints.
Yes, I heard the last part, but I just wanted to be sure there was nothing the matter with my phone. Mr. Diamond, I wish to hire you.
I'm touched. $100 a day in expenses.
I'm touched.
Well, if the figure depresses you a little, I suggest getting out in the fresh air. Exercise. Play a little golf. If you could use a dandy caddy on Sunday.
I can easily afford the fee, Mr. Diamond, but to be frank, it wasn't exactly what I expected. Isn't it a little high?
Well, frankly, yes. But if you hire another detective, you won't be getting the prettiest.
I see. Can you come to my house at 6 this evening?
Name, address, and reason for hiring me?
George Lexington, Golden Strand, Long Island. And I'm in fear of my life.
I'll see you at 6, Mr. Lexington.
On the dot. Please be prompt.
Just have a substantial retainer ready. Aside from my blue eyes, greed and promptness are my two most outstanding features. Well, that's the way a buck's made in my business. I sit around the office for a week, passing the idle hours, playing old Welsh mining tunes on a comb. Then someone gets in trouble, opens the phone book, and naturally the first thing that must catch their eye is my very gaudy full-page advertisement on the Diamond Detective Agency. After that, a phone call, and I'm in business. At 6 sharp, I was ringing the doorbell at the home of Mr. George Lexington, client in fear of his life.
Yes, sir?
Mr. Diamond, to see Mr. Lexington.
Mr. Lexington is busy at the moment. Does he expect you?
I have an appointment with him at 6.
Oh, I see. Please step in. If you'll wait in the library, sir, I'll tell Mr. Lexington you are here. What was that?
Unless you keep a car in one of the upstairs rooms, that, my friend, was a gun going off. Come on. With the butler right behind me, we took the long, curved staircase 3 steps at a time. The butler managed to pant out that Mr. Lexington was in the study at the head of the stairs, so that was the door we went through, only to be stopped cold on the other side. Standing in the middle of the room was a girl. The word girl, in this case, to be identified with adjectives one might think up after having spent 3 lonely years on a life raft in the middle of the Atlantic. The only thing that kept my eyes from melting and running down on my shirt was the .32 revolver she held in her gloved hand.
Miss Morris, no!
Give me the gun, honey.
No!
Drop it, honey. You just scorched my money belt. She dropped it, and we all went to pieces. I helped her to a seat and let her cry it out. The gun I could have passed off as a whim or too many Hopalong Cassidy adventures, but the man sprawled across his desk on the other side of the room changed the whole picture. I called the 5th Precinct Police Station and got Lieutenant Walter Levinson started for Long Island.
The police?
You shot a man, didn't you?
Yes.
You tried to kill yourself, didn't you?
Yes.
Well, they're both against the law. Want to tell me about it?
He deserved it.
Mr. Diamond?
Yes.
I just found something rather strange.
Well, don't scratch it.
Miss Morris shot Mr. Lexington, all right.
I never denied it.
Well, what's bothering you?
The thought just occurred to me. Who also took the trouble of stabbing him?
Stabbing him? He was shot.
Then how do you explain this carving knife in his back?
Oh, now, Diamond, you stop that.
But it's true, Walt.
Sure is, Lieutenant. Been shot in the chest and got a knife in his back. Oh, how do I get in on these things?
This is Miss Morris, Walt, the girl who shot him.
How do you do? Oh, you shot him, huh?
Yes, Lieutenant.
Well, who stabbed him?
Have no idea.
Swell. Miss Morris, why did you shoot this, what's his name?
Lexington, George.
Why did you shoot him?
I refused to answer.
Okay, suit yourself.
Where's the coroner, Walt?
Should be here any minute.
I didn't stab him, Mr. Diamond.
When you came in, did you talk with Lexington?
I just opened the door, saw him sitting at the desk, and I shot him.
Did you talk to him?
Oh, sure, Walt. She played 20 questions with him while he was trying to paw the knife out of his back.
I was just trying to trap her.
Why?
Why? Because if she said she'd talk to him, it would have been an admission that,
She'd talk to him.
No, that he was still alive before she shot him.
Okay, who stabbed him?
How do I know?
Well, if he was still alive before she shot him, she talked to him, then she must have seen who stabbed him, right?
Yeah.
Well, if she saw who stabbed him, she couldn't have done it, right?
Right.
And no one would have stabbed Lexington if he'd already been shot, right?
No one would have stabbed Lexington if he'd already... Yeah, of course. You think I'm stupid?
Lieutenant.
You shut up.
So if they stabbed him, he hadn't been shot and he was alive.
Of course.
Then if he was alive and they stabbed him, the girl didn't do it to confuse you.
Huh?
So if she didn't do it, she can go home. Go on home, Miss Morris.
But, Mr. Diamond...
You heard him. Go on.
That's what I was trying to tell you, Lieutenant. Diamond's at it again.
Otis.
Yeah, Lieutenant?
Take the girl, the butler, and Diamond down to the car. And when the coroner gets here, we'll all take a little drive down to the station. Understand?
Yes, Lieutenant.
What are you yelling at?
I don't know. I don't know.
Well, the coroner finally arrived and suggested an autopsy for the corpse and a bath in some hot mud for Walt. Then we all climbed into the squad car and headed for downtown New York and the 5th Precinct Police Station. On the way, I told Walt about my phone call from Lexington about 3:45 that afternoon and the few details leading up to finding June Morris with a smoking gun and the dead Mr. Lexington. At the station, we continued to question the girl as to her motive for the killing, but she refused to say anything. The butler could add nothing, so they were taken out to await further questioning. She was allowed to call her lawyer, and we all settled down to wait for the coroner's report on the autopsy.
Yeah.
The dame's lawyer is here. Wants to see you first.
Okay. Girl's lawyer.
Mr. Farnsworth, Lieutenant.
Hello, Lieutenant. What is this all about?
Mr. Diamond, Mr. Farnsworth.
How do you do?
How are you?
I just got a call from Miss Morris.
Lieutenant.
Pardon me a minute. Well, what do you want, Hammerhead?
I got the girl's personal effects.
Well, give them to me.
Okay. Gee, what did I do?
Nothing, Sergeant, but your family sure botched things up.
Oh, there you are, Lieutenant.
Thank you.
Gee, I don't know.
Am I to understand that Miss Morris is being held here on a murder charge?
That's right.
Just whom is Miss Morris supposed to have killed?
You know a Mr. George Lexington?
Why, yes.
He's the boy.
Maybe you can tell us why she would want to kill him.
I suggest you question the witness, Mr. Diamond. But let me warn you beforehand. My advice to my client will be to say nothing until I can find out more about this thing for myself. Now, about Miss Morris.
She stays put.
Lieutenant, I have a great deal of influence.
Then get her rich. She stays put.
What about this George Lexington's background, Mr. Farnsworth?
Let me give you one more suggestion before I leave. Find these things out for yourself. I have a fair reputation in the legal profession.
Good evening, Mr. Farnsworth.
I'll have that writ, Lieutenant.
Oh, go to blazes.
Nice fella.
A doll. Well, let's see if there's anything in these personal effects here. Take a look through the purse.
Okay.
Otis,
Yeah, Lieutenant.
bring in the butler.
Right.
Here's something, Walt.
What is it?
A typewritten note in the bottom of her purse.
What's that?
Meet me at the house at 5:15 this evening. Bring $15,000 and be prompt, or you will regret it for the rest of your life.
Signed, George. George Lexington.
Well, bully for you.
Diamond, I swear.
Out to the butler, Lieutenant.
Come in. Sit down.
Well, thanks. My feet...
Not you, melonhead. Get out of here.
Oh, well, okay. I just thought...
Otis,
Yeah?
when the coroner's report comes in, bring it right in and bring the girl along with it.
Yeah, Lieutenant.
How do you feel, Arthur?
A little upset, sir. This has been quite a strain.
Last name, Cameron?
Yes, sir.
How long have you worked for George Lexington?
About 4 years, sir. Ever since Mr. Lexington came east.
Did you know him before that?
No, sir.
You ever mention where he was from?
California, I think.
Had a lot of money?
I presume so. I was paid regularly. He maintained a good-sized house and entertained frequently. To my knowledge, he never had any debts that weren't paid immediately.
How long have you known Miss Morris?
She and Mr. Lexington were engaged 2 years ago. It only lasted a few months. But they still saw each other occasionally.
Did you know Miss Morris was expected tonight?
Yes, sir. She called and said she would be there at 5:45.
You sure about the time?
Yes, sir.
But you didn't expect me at 6.
No, sir. Mr. Lexington said nothing about it.
Is there another way into that study?
Yes, sir. A back door leading down to the garden.
Did Lexington have any other visitors during the day?
No, sir.
Was he in from 3 to 5?
Yes, sir.
I got the coroner's report and Miss Morris, Lieutenant.
Okay, that's all, Arthur. We'll have to hold you until this thing straightens itself out. You go along with Sergeant Loveloon.
Yes, sir.
Oh, Arthur,
Yes, sir?
does Mr. Lexington own a typewriter?
No, sir.
All right. Come in, Miss Morris. Sit down.
Here's the report and the bullet taken out of Lexington and the knife.
Take the butler downstairs.
Right. Let's go, Arthur.
Yes.
When did you receive this note, Miss Morris?
Oh, where?
We found it in your purse. When you become a murder suspect, I'm afraid nothing's very private.
This morning.
It's from George Lexington.
Yes.
He have something on you? Okay, you're just hurting yourself.
Miss Morris, did you know a man named Jack Short?
No.
Who's Jack Short, Walt?
Just read this report. Here's what it says about the late Mr. George Lexington. Fingerprints check one Jack Short, arrested 1936, 38, 39, petty theft, suspicion of robbery, suspicion of possessing narcotics, 3 arrests, 1 conviction. Did a year and a day in Alcatraz.
When did he have time to do his laundry?
He was arrested again in 1942 for manslaughter. Went to trial, case dismissed for lack of evidence. Lovely boy.
You mean George Lexington?
Was really Jack Short a criminal with a record?
But his house, servants, the money he spent.
That's something we're going to find out about.
What does the coroner's report say, Walt?
The knife did kill him, not the bullet. And the knife has got your fingerprints all over it, Miss Morris.
What?
It's got a what?
That's right. Ever see it before, Miss Morris?
Why, I don't know.
It's a carving knife. One that might belong to a set. Something wrong?
That's my carving knife. I missed it this morning.
Sure.
When was the last time you used it?
Last night, I gave a small dinner party.
Do you own a typewriter, Miss Morris?
Yes, I do.
Hello, June. You'd better come along with me.
Oh, Mr. Farnsworth.
Just a minute. What's the idea of busting in here like this, Farnsworth?
I tried to stop him,
You
Lieutenant.
should have stuck out one of your big feet. Those things could trip a tank.
I told you I would be back with a writ. Well, I'm here, and there's the writ. Come, June.
She stays right here.
Lieutenant, you don't seem to
No,
understand.
you don't seem to understand, Mr. Farnsworth. You got that written and it was sustained because I was nice enough not to issue a formal complaint.
Also, there's a little matter of influence.
You're darn right, and I'm going to show you how it works. I'm making a formal complaint right now, and the charge is murder. And if you don't think I can make it stick, I won't even bother to throw you out of my office. I'll let the commissioner do it for me. Now get out of here.
Gee, you're wonderful, Lieutenant.
You shut up.
Before we continue with the adventures of Richard Diamond, private detective, here's your Rexall family druggist.
One of the questions most often asked a druggist is this: what can I take for fast relief from acid stomach?
I've often wanted to know that myself. What's your answer?
Naturally, ma'am, it's Bismarex, Rexall's justly famous antacid.
Why, what is it that makes it so outstanding?
Well, the secret lies in the scientifically developed formula. You see, the active ingredients in Bismarex vary in the time it takes them to dissolve in the stomach. That way, the relief it gives is not only fast, but continuous and prolonged. Excess acidity is often neutralized in less than 1 minute. Then the other ingredients, dissolving more slowly, ease up that gastric distress. And finally, Bismarex leaves a soothing protective covering on irritated stomach membranes.
Well, I'll have to remember that. Bismarex. Is that how you say it?
That's right, ma'am. Bisma-Rex. Bismarex. Ask for Bismarex at Rexall drugstores everywhere. And remember, you can depend on any drug product that bears the name Rexall.
And now back to tonight's adventure with Richard Diamond, private detective, starring Dick Powell.
Well, Farnsworth got the idea in a hurry and took off like a rabbit with his tail on fire. Walt lived up to his word. After making the formal charge and producing the evidence, the writ was dismissed. He then secured a search warrant for both Miss Morris's flat and George Lexington's house on Long Island. Our first stop was Miss Morris's apartment, and when we went in, I thought how much it looked like her. Small, beautifully decorated. We went over the whole place, nothing except in the small den.
Here's the party list she told us about.
Good 30 names here. Typed.
There's a typewriter.
You got that note you had in the purse?
Yeah, here. Top of the E is blocked out like on the note. Same machine.
No.
Bring the typewriter, Otis.
Right, Lieutenant.
You going over to Lexington's home?
Yeah, aren't you coming along?
No, I got an idea. Do me a favor, will you, Walt?
Well, sure, why?
When you get over there, besides checking that back door to the study, put in a call to the phone company and see if a call was made around 3:45 this afternoon to El Dorado 1234. It's a toll call from there, and they'd have a record.
Now, let me write that down. El Dorado 1234.
Yeah. I'll call you at Lexington's in about an hour. If that number wasn't called from there, check every name on that party list.
Well, there are 30 names there. You want me to check each one to see whether a call was made to El...
What's the matter?
El Dorado 1234. That's your office number.
Walt.
Huh?
Bye. I left Walt turning that awful green and headed for the Times building. It was a little late when I got there, but an old friend at the morgue noticed the $5 bill I was wearing in my lapel and agreed to take care of it for me while I looked through the newspaper files. I dug up everything on Jack Short and his alias George Lexington. The stuff on Short wasn't much, except the trial for manslaughter had made the front page. The items on George Lexington could all be found in the society columns. From what I could gather, he'd started his social whirl in 1944. He'd been engaged several times, and each time to a wealthy woman. I even came across a picture of June Morris on the evening they had announced their engagement. Well, having all the information I could get, and with one little item dated California, June 26, 1942, tucked away in my pocket, I put in a fast call to Walt, who was at the home of the late George Lexington.
Yeah?
What did you find out?
Well, someone could have gotten in the back door. There were some blurred footprints outside in the garden, but they won't help. If you had a key, you could let yourself in and walk right up the study.
What about the phone call?
There was no call made from here to your office, but one of the names on the list paid off. Mrs. Julia Wright out on Long Island. Now, would you mind telling me what this is all about?
You stay right there, Walt. I'm going out to see Mrs. Julia Wright.
If she called your office today at 3:45, you certainly must have talked to her.
George Lexington called my office today at 3:45.
But he couldn't have. The butler said Lexington wasn't out of the house and the call wasn't made from here.
Well, someone called.
Maybe it was the right day. Maybe she got a low voice and told you she was Lexington.
Walt.
Huh?
Oh, forget it. You wouldn't like it anyway.
Mr. Diamond?
How do you do, Mrs. Wright?
My butler says your business is a matter of life or death.
Well, that's a little exaggerated, but it's one sure way of getting by the red tape.
Then what is your business, Mr. Diamond?
I'm from the police.
Oh.
Do you know Mr. George Lexington?
Why, yes, slightly.
Are you married, Mrs. Wright?
Very happily. What is your interest in Mr. Lexington, Mr. Diamond?
Do you know June Morris?
Quite well. I've known her family for at least 10 years.
She's being held for the murder of George Lexington.
Oh, that poor girl.
She was engaged to Lexington at one time, wasn't she?
Yes. He was a beast. Believe me, Mr. Diamond, he deserved killing.
I thought you said you only knew him slightly.
June used to tell me how terribly he treated her.
A phone call was made from your house yesterday at approximately 3:45 to El Dorado 1234.
I don't believe I know anyone at that number. Are you sure?
A man made it. I talked to him.
My husband wasn't home yesterday. Oh, perhaps it was my lawyer. He was here about that time. In fact, I believe he did make a call. Said it was on business. A call from the library.
What's your lawyer's name, Mrs. Wright?
Why, Mr. Lucius Farnsworth.
I don't believe it. I just don't believe it. I certainly don't like the guy, but his reputation's been spotless.
It's just got to be, Walt.
Here's the girl, Lieutenant.
Come in, Miss Morris.
Thank you, Lieutenant. Hello, Mr. Diamond.
June, the note you received was written on the typewriter in your den.
What?
Lab just sent up a report.
You think I sent that note to myself?
No. But can you remember anyone using the typewriter in the last 2 days?
No. No one has used it but myself.
What about the night of the party?
Who uses a typewriter at a party?
Anyone go in the den and maybe lock the door?
What? Why, yes. As a matter of fact, Mr. Farnsworth said he had to make some business calls. He went in and closed You don't think that...
That Farnsworth did it?
It's absurd. He's been with my family for years.
Did he introduce you to George Lexington?
Yes, it was at a party at Julia Wright's.
Did Mr. Farnsworth know that you owned a gun?
No one knew it.
Were you actually using that knife the night of the party?
Yes, I sliced some turkey.
You remember what kind of a suit Mr. Farnsworth was wearing that night?
He was wearing a dinner jacket.
Lexington was blackmailing you, wasn't he?
I can't answer that.
Oh, honey, believe me, if you don't trust us and it comes out anyway, we'll have no way of stopping it.
Oh, right, it was blackmail. I was going to marry George. There were some letters, a picture. He broke off the engagement and began demanding money. Last week he mentioned something about leaving town, and I received the note. I couldn't afford that kind of money, and I was just tired of paying month after month. I decided to kill him, and I was going to kill myself. I guess I lost my nerve.
Let's go see Mr. Luke Farnsworth, Rick.
June, you sit right here until we get back.
Be careful.
You can make book on it. I'm going to drive you home. Use your paw.
All right.
There he comes.
Yes, what is... Oh. What do you want, Lieutenant?
Got any hot coffee?
If this is your idea of some kind of a joke...
Mind if we come in?
I most certainly do.
Thanks.
How dare you break in here like this? I can cause you a great deal of trouble, Lieutenant.
How well did you say you knew George Lexington?
Only slightly.
Hey, get a load of these fancy ashtrays, Walt.
Yeah, but I don't go much from modern. Pretty drapes, though.
Oh, the policemen are being casual.
You only knew Lexington slightly, huh?
Yes, and this is the third time I've said it.
You must make a lot of money.
I have wealthy clients.
How much did Jack Short pay you to get him out of that manslaughter charge?
What?
You remember him. Sensational case. Made you quite a reputation.
Of course I remember it.
This Short was sure a handsome fella. Did he change his name later?
I don't know. That was a long time ago.
Didn't he change it to Lexington? George Lexington?
What is this all about?
Mind if we look around the place?
I most certainly do.
Is that your bedroom?
You have no right to go in there. Where's your warrant?
Nice bedroom.
Get out. Get out. I'll call the commissioner.
Why don't you do that? These your keys?
Put those down.
Take it easy.
I wonder if one of these fits a back door to George Lexington's study.
Don't be ridiculous. I've only been to Mr. Lexington's house twice in my life. Arthur, the butler, will verify to that.
You mean you've only been there twice, but the front way?
I mean exactly that. What are you doing in that closet?
Nice wardrobe. This your dinner jacket?
Lieutenant, I warn you.
No, I'm going to warn you, Farnsworth, officially. Anything that you may say will be held against you. I'm charging you with the murder of George Lexington.
Well, this is really one for the books. Would you mind telling me what proof you have?
You called my office at 3:45 this afternoon from the home of Mrs. Julia Wright, disguised your voice, and told me you were George Lexington.
Really? Hearsay.
You were at a party given by June Morris. You stole a carving knife that she'd been using, probably wrapped it up in a handkerchief to keep her fingerprints on the handle.
Did someone see me?
For some reason, you wanted George Lexington out of the way. He'd been blackmailing victims that you introduced him to. You made sure that Miss Morris would be at his home at exactly 5:45. You wrote a note on her typewriter telling her to be there. You called me to be sure that someone would catch her.
Interesting theory.
You went up the back way into the study, probably with one of these keys. You stabbed Lexington and got out just before the girl came up.
You made one mistake. You didn't figure that the girl might try to kill Lexington.
What?
Yeah, she shot him, but she shot a dead man.
She shot him?
After he was dead. You don't know it, Buster, but you just missed the perfect crime.
Now prove it.
The girl said you were wearing a dinner jacket the night of her party. This the coat?
Yes.
But to get the knife out, you had to put it in a pocket or someplace on you. She had been carving turkey. Ever hear of a spectrograph?
Of course.
Sure. Have the pockets analyzed, and if we find traces of turkey, we'll know you swiped the knife.
And if the key to Lexington's back door is on this ring, it'll cinch it.
I'm afraid not to.
Come back here, Farnsworth.
He's going for the window.
Farnsworth, stop!
Let me go.
Let me go!
Not on your life. Not on your life. You don't take it the easy way.
Get hold of his hand.
No.
Got him.
No. Why didn't you let me jump? What difference would it have made?
Well, it sure would have saved the state some money. But a quick trip to the sidewalk doesn't make up for a killing. That's the easy way, Farnsworth. You forget when you commit murder, there's a little thing called society. And if you can't live with people, they'll decide what to do with you. Oh, that last mile is a Lulu.
Again, here's your Rexall family druggist.
If you're a user of mineral oil, remember that Rexall mineral oil is carefully refined by a special process to achieve an extra heavy body. What's more, because it's so exceptionally pure and gentle in its action, Rexall mineral oil is non-irritating, non-habit forming. You'll also like the fact that it's tasteless, odorless, colorless. Next time, try Rexall mineral oil. And remember, you can depend on any drug product that bears the name Rexall.
Good health to all from Rexall. Richard Diamond, Private Detective, stars Dick Powell in the title role and is written by Blake Edwards with music composed and conducted by Frank Worth. Featured in tonight's cast were Ted DeCorsia, Wilms Herbert, Ted Osborne, Betty Moran, Howard McNear, and Virginia Gregg. Richard Diamond, Private Detective is transcribed in Hollywood by Jaime Del Valle. This is Bill Foreman inviting you to be with us next Wednesday at this time when we will again bring you Dick Powell as Richard Diamond, Private Detective.